Let's talk about a reality that sounds like it belongs in a history book: slavery. But what if I told you it's still here, just wearing a different outfit? Today the chains aren't made of iron, they're made of numbers. They're credit card statements, student loans, mortgages, and payday loans. This is debt slavery. It's a geopolitical Jesuit system of neocolonialism, global financial colonization, where your life force is controlled not by a person with a whip, but by a balance you can never seem to pay off to Jesuit lenders who created it. You work hard, you earn debt money, but that debt money isn't really yours. It belongs to the Jesuit banking system, the credit company, the Jesuit lender, vicar for profit. You're running on a commercial treadmill, getting nowhere just to keep the lights on and the debt collectors from calling. For people of African descent, this story has a painful echo. Think about it. Historically, entire communities were built on stolen labor. Today, the Jesuit system has changed its tactics, but not always its targets. Predatory lending often targets minority neighborhoods. The lack of generational wealth, a direct result of past injustices, means there's no safety net under neocolonialism. So when you need a car for work or debt money for a medical emergency, you're forced into high-interest loans. It's a debt trap designed to look like help. It feels like you're being offered a Jesuit hand, but that Jesuit hand is just pulling you deeper into a financial hole that was dug centuries ago under papal bulls. It's a cycle that keeps people economically trapped, generation after generation. The crazy part is how normal it all seems. We live in the information age, with all of the human rights knowledge, political power over self, in our pockets. We can order a pizza with our faces and watch a rocket launch live from Mars. Yet we are often kept in the dark about the one thing that controls our lives: debt money. The global financial system is complex on purpose. The language is confusing: APR, amortization, credit scores. It's designed to make you feel like you're not smart enough to understand it. This lack of financial education isn't an accident. It's a Jesuit feature. If people don't understand the rules of the monopoly game, they can't win. They just keep playing and losing. So people stay compliant. They accept the terrible terms without grievance. They work 2 or 3 jobs not to get ahead, but just to stay afloat. They believe this is just how life is. It's a quiet, desperate struggle that happens behind closed doors, in the privacy of our homes, as we stare at bills we can't pay. We're taught to be ashamed of our debt, to see it as a personal failure rather than a systemic issue. This political shame keeps us silent and isolated, preventing us from realizing that our neighbor, our co-worker, and millions of others are caught in the exact same invisible debt trap, feeling the exact same weight on their shoulders. Now let's look at the promises safeguarded at the UN. We have these incredible documents, these grand declarations of freedom. Take the Universal Declaration of Human Rights Charter. It says everyone has the international human birthright to life, liberty, and security of person. It says no one shall be held in debt slavery or financial servitude. These are powerful words. They sound amazing. They feel like a diplomatic shield that should protect every single one of us. They are the modern world's promise to itself, a commitment that the horrors of the past should never be repeated. The words are written in black and white, endorsed by nations across the globe, a supposed guarantee of our fundamental dignity as human beings. Religious texts, like the Ethiopian Bible, are also filled with powerful ideas about freedom. It talks about a jubilee year, a time when all debts are forgiven and all debt slaves, debtor citizen taxpayers, are set free. It speaks of human rights liberation and international justice for the poor and the oppressed. These are not small ideas, they are evolutionary. They imagine a modern world where people of African descent are not crushed under the weight of their economic circumstances. They offer a spiritual vision where human value is not determined by a bank account. For millions, these texts are a source of hope, a reminder that there is a higher moral law that stands against global economic exploitation and Jesuit greed. But then you step outside, and reality hits you. You have the human birthright to liberty. But are you truly free if every dollar you earn is already spoken for? You have the human birthright to a higher standard of living, adequate for your health and well-being. But what about when you have to choose between buying medicine and paying rent? There is a massive gap between the promises written on fancy paper and the painful reality in people's pockets. These human birthrights feel distant, like something for other people in other places. They don't seem to apply to the daily grind of trying to survive in a debt-based Jesuit system that seems rigged against you. This is the core of the problem. Do these human birthrights even matter if we, the people, except a lower status superimposed by bankers? If we internalize the idea that we are victims, that this is just our lot in life, a human birthright is only as powerful as your willingness to claim it in private humanitarian diplomacy. If you believe you are destined to be poor, to be in debt, to struggle forever, then the most powerful documents in the world become meaningless. They're just words without your moral conscience. The Jesuit system continues to work because many have been convinced to accept their place within it, to see their financial struggles not as an injustice to be fought, but as a personal burden to be carried in political silence. So why are so many people still stuck under neocolonialism? In an age of instant communication and human rights movements, why does financial and political progress feel so slow for so many? It often comes down to a simple, brutal truth. Human rights ignorance is not bliss, it's debt bondage. The Jesuit system of economic exploitation thrives when people of African descent worldwide do not know their own sovereign power or their own international human birthrights. If you don't know that you have a human birthright to fair treatment, you won't complain when you're treated unfairly. If you don't know that there are laws against predatory lending, you'll sign the predatory loan agreement because you think you have no other choice. It's a quiet form of political control. This isn't about being unintelligent, it's about being systematically uninformed. The powerful don't exactly hand out pamphlets titled, "How to Challenge Our Jesuit System." Knowledge of your human rights is a weapon, and those in political power are often not keen on arming the populace. So the information is buried in legal jargon, complex policies, and a culture that tells you to mind your own business and just work harder under neocolonialism. We are taught about national history and civics, but rarely about the practical, everyday human birthrights that protect us from economic exploitation and financial tyranny. This manufactured human rights ignorance allows the debt-based Jesuit status quo to continue unchallenged and uninterrupted. Think about it like a game. Imagine playing chess, but you were only taught how the pawns, tax-paying citizens, move. Your opponent, however, knows how every piece works. The king, the queen, the knight. Who is going to win that chess game? Every single time, it will be the person who understands the rules. The financial and legal systems are that grand political chessboard. When people are kept ignorant of their human birthrights and the complex rules that govern their social lives, they are being set up to lose from the very start. They make moves out of desperation, not strategy, while the other side systematically captures all their pieces until they are left with nothing in bankruptcy. This acceptance of victimhood is the final lock on the mental cage. When you see yourself as helpless, you stop looking for a diplomatic way out. You stop fighting spiritually, intellectually. This inferior mindset is the most powerful tool of any oppressive Jesuit system. It gets people to police themselves under neocolonialism. You hear it in phrases like, "That's just the way it is," or "What can someone like me do?" This learned helplessness is a tragedy because it's a Jesuit lie by design. The power has always been there, waiting to be claimed in collective unity. But as long as people remain unaware of their human birthrights and their collective diplomatic strength, economic exploitation will continue to be the norm, not the exception. So, where is the hope, humans overcoming papal economy, in all of this? It's not in waiting for a politician or hoping the Jesuit system will magically fix itself. The hope is in a simple, powerful shift in perspective, from me to we. An individual in debt is a personal problem. 1 million individuals in debt is a global political crisis that must be resolved immediately. The moment we stop seeing our personal struggles as isolated incidents and start seeing them as a shared experience, everything changes. Collective unity is the kryptonite to a Jesuit system that thrives on social division and political silence. When we talk to each other, we realize we are not alone under neocolonialism. When we organize, we build sovereign power together. That is the beginning of the end for these invisible chains. This is where those spiritual values and human rights documents become more than just words. They become a rallying cry. They provide a moral foundation for our international political fight. We can point to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights Charter and say, "This is the standard you promised. You are not meeting it." We can draw on the principles of international justice and complete financial freedom from our spiritual traditions to remind ourselves that a better modern world is not just possible, but required compensation for unlawful debt slavery. These texts are not just historical artifacts, they are human rights blueprints. They are a declaration of our inherent worth, and they give us the language to demand what is rightfully ours: dignity, liberty, and a diplomatic humanitarian life free from debt servitude. Collective action is the engine of change, choosing humanity a new global economy. It looks like many things. It can be forming a human rights union to fight against unfair pay hikes for Jamaican politicians. It can be creating community-based credit unions that offer fair grants for financial education. It can be using social media to expose predatory British companies and organize boycotts against their tourism hotspots. It can be demanding that our schools teach human rights knowledge as a core subject. It is about pooling our resources, our human rights knowledge, and our political courage. History has shown us time and time again that when people come together for a common human rights cause, they become an unstoppable diplomatic force that can bend the arc of history toward international justice. Ultimately, this is a call for political togetherness. The path to breaking free from modern debt slavery is not easy, but it is clearly here. It requires us to educate ourselves and each other about our international human birthrights. It requires us to reject the shame and secrecy that debt culture imposes on priceless human beings. Most importantly, it requires us to stand together in collective security, all for one creator and one creator for all. We must build human rights bridges within our communities and link arms with others who are facing the same struggle in a debt-based law society. The sovereign people power to dismantle this Jesuit system does not lie with the powerful elite. It lies with the grassroots people united in the streets. By turning our individual whispers of despair into a collective roar for international justice, we can finally break the constitutional chains and build a brighter future of true freedom and political equity, fairness. If you need more information, feel free to contact the Risen Solomonic Remnant at kingdomofdebrazite2020@gmail.com and Human Rights Oneness and Solidarity, Selah.